that same day, an arrest was made. Eromosele Adene, that's his name, he was arrested on that same day where the lawyer was speaking, and that has generated a lot of controversy on social media, off social media, especially because for a lot of people, they thought this was a time of restitution, of resolving some of the issues that the NSAS protesters raised. And yet, one of the prominent protesters, one of the prominent activists, was arrested. A lot of issues surrounding this, a lot of questions to raise. And this morning, we're being joined by someone who should know, who knows better, and how this all went down. So let's speak with his sister, Eromosele Adene. She joins us this morning in our Lagos studio. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you too. I know this has been a challenging period for you, your family, but if you could just take us back to what happened that day. There's been a lot of accounts on social media, but I know that you have firsthand what happened. So please tell us what happened.
Okay. On Saturday the 7th, I got a call some minutes past 7 a.m. from a man. He said he was formerly a church member. He said he had gone to our church, which used to be a GRA. We moved just before the lockdown to Ikpaja. So he said he was an old church member, and he went to our church in GRA and discovered that we were no more there. But he had a parcel for my dad, who is the pastor of the church. He said he has, saying that we were no more there, he came to Allen where we stay. So I'm like, okay, church member or old church member, parcel for the pastor. All right, it's fine. He said he was at Sholanke. I didn't know where Sholanke was. So I'm like, come to First Bank bus stop. He said he didn't know where First Bank bus stop was. So I'm like, okay, come to the front of First Bank. I'll just walk from my house. On getting there, I noticed I couldn't really place his face. I'm like, okay, benefit of doubt. I may not necessarily know everybody in my father's church. I got close. The parcel he was holding wasn't really looking like a parcel. It was just black nylon, some things were inside. So I already felt unease. I knew something was different or something was wrong. So I just asked him, okay, how can I help you? And the next thing he said, he's looking for Peter. That's my brother's name. They're looking for my brother. Why? While I was still asking, next thing I hear, these are my men. I turn around and I see 3 other men. So I was surrounded by 4 men. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Said he's looking for Peter. They did a business with him. They bought commodities from him. They transferred money to his account, his Zenith account, to show that they knew he had his Zenith account. And he didn't deliver the commodities. I'm like, my brother doesn't sell anything. So this story I'm not buying. My brother is a musician. He's a philanthropist. He's the owner of Belefu Nigeria on Instagram. He takes care of the less privileged, motherless babies, different things. He feeds the hawkers on the road. His track record is on his page on Instagram, Belefu Nigeria. That is who he is. So you saying you bought something from him, you transferred money to his account, and he didn't pay. I knew that was some cooked up story. So why exactly are you looking for my brother? And then he said, I should take him to my house, that they need to see my brother. Like, sir, I can't take you to my house. You have to explain why you want to see my brother. While I was still talking, next thing, 3 trucks, 3 Hilux pull up with their Oga that led them, CSP Hamzat. When he came down, every other person came down. 2 people were, 2 of the Hilux were in front of the First Bank. 1 was on the other side of the road. And all of them came down. I'm like, madam, why are you delaying? I'm like, okay, it was like a movie. What's going on right now? And then the one that was calling me was trying to play good cop, bad cop. And Shebi, I was telling you, you should have listened to us first. At least we did not carry uniform. We could not carry any gun. You should have listened to us first. Now these ones have come. I'm like, she so asked me to get into the car. I didn't want to go into that car because... So I just asked the guy that made the call. I'm like, my house is close by, let's just walk. My house is close by, let's just walk. So they deceived me, in quotes, to get to my brother. They pulled me out to get to my brother. When they got to the house, they were still telling the story of how they bought commodity from him and he didn't deliver. Even when the lawyer came in, because we started making calls there and then, some people came in. Even when the lawyer came in, the lawyer still asked them, are you here to effect an arrest? And he said no. And still they took my brother away that same day.
What reason did they give for his arrest?
That same story is what they were saying. But when they got to, but I knew that that story wasn't true. But when they got to the station, they now said it was because of the NSAS protest. There was someone that was in the house amongst the people that were able to call together that day, is SSS. When he asked me, I told him, pop and playing. I said, I'm sure that this is about the NSAS protest, not any
specifically,
commodity.
what role did your brother play during the NSAS protests?
He was like every other normal protester. He's a normal Nigerian. He's a normal youth. No particular, no special role. He's not a promoter. He's not a convener. We are seeing different stories, different headlines out there. He's like every other normal person. His pictures are out there. The people that slept outside Alausa branch, he was on the floor with every other person. If he was the promoter, if he was the convener, if he was anything big to them, in quotes, I mean, they would have given him some level of some comfort, maybe prepared a bed somewhere, or maybe put him in a hotel room overnight, you know. But he was like every other normal person, every other youth out there. He's a protester like every other person, not a promoter, not anything big or special.
Well, just as you said, one of the news making the rounds is that perhaps there was a plan. You know, they said that he released a flyer with his phone number on it.
Yes, there was a flyer that there was supposed to be another protest that Saturday morning in honor of the souls that were lost in the other protest. Yes, so there was a flyer that was released and 2 numbers were there. The second number was his number. I don't know the owner of the first number. The second number was his number. So I'm sure from there, they would have traced him or contacted him or whatever, or thought he was the one leading the protest.
Well, let's bring in his lawyer, I mean, to get an insight also from the legal perspective. And we're being joined by Babatunde Jinadu, who is a lawyer to Oromo. He joins us via Zoom this morning. Well, thank you for joining us on the program. Now, we've listened to how the arrest was made. I know that you've been interfacing, well, I believe you've been interfacing with the police. So what can you tell us from that angle? Why was he arrested? The process leading up to his arrest? What do you know about that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I joined Eromosele Adene Peter from his residence where he was arrested. So I will take it off from where the sister stopped. So we proceeded to the Lagos State Police Command, and there, at the residence, they informed us that it was being suspected of a fraudulent transaction and all that. But I asked them that the constitution has provided that you should tell a citizen or a person what the offense he has committed before you can arrest him. So what is the offense? They said it's in connection with a transaction that turned out fraudulent and all that. So we proceeded to the Lagos State Police Command. I joined them. I drove behind the police van. So on getting there, the mother was in the same van with him, so they drove in, but I was prevented from entering. So I had to park outside. So on approaching the gate, I saw a very funny scenario. I was told that I could not enter because on the order of the CP, the Commissioner of Police said no visitor should enter. Then I told them I'm a lawyer. My client was arrested right in my...
We seem to be having difficulty with the internet, but we'll get that sorted, really. But as it stands right now, do you have an idea where your brother is, at what state he's in right now?
Yes. So yesterday, the lawyer went to Area F to check up on him because he was in Area F as at Sunday. And then we found out that they had moved him to an unknown location. About over an hour later, we found out he was moved to Abuja. So we had to start making calls, and then the lawyer had to move to Abuja as well. So yes, we know where he is. He's been able to talk to his dad. He's okay. He was weak because since Saturday he has been eating once because he didn't want his stomach to be upset. Not because they didn't feed him. We were the ones bringing food for him, but he didn't want his stomach to be too full. So since Saturday he has been eating once. But when they moved him to Abuja, unknown to any of us, of course he couldn't eat because we didn't give him food. So he ate around 6 in the evening. of course he would have been weak. So we saw news going around that he was taken to the hospital. Yes, because he was weak. Maybe blood sugar was low or something.
Okay.
But he's fine. He's fine. Nothing has happened to him.
Well, we'll come to you again, but let's go back to Mr. Jinadu. So take it from where you were before we had that internet interruption, Mr. Jinadu.
Okay, thank you very much. So at the point of entrance, I told them that I'm not a visitor, I'm a lawyer, and I have the right to meet my client who is in police custody, and I have to go in. But they had to just rush me out that I can't stay. They don't want the CP to detain them and all that, that somebody was detained because they allowed the visitor into the premises. So at that point, I had to say, I called the PPRO, Mr. Olumuyiwa. I told him that, sir, I'm outside now. I came with a client that was arrested and I'm prevented from entering. And if I leave here, I don't understand, because I'm going to write to the Supreme Court to take off my name the role of legal practitioner because I'm being prevented to practice my profession. So because I got so angry, and so later he called me, he pleaded with me that please don't go, just wait, I will come out to take you in. That truly the CP gave that directive, but he will come and take me in. So he took me in. I met him, so he informed me that he had been interrogated.
Was there a particular reason, just a moment, was there a particular reason why you were barred from seeing your client at the time? Was there a particular reason given to you?
They didn't give me any reason. Probably, I don't know if it is security reasons, but I don't know. They didn't give me any. They just said, the CP said nobody should come into the police command premises.
Is that normal practice, in this kind of process?
It's strange to me. It's strange to me because even at Zone 2 Police Command, they have never denied me entry into the premises to see my client. So, and having introduced myself as a legal practitioner, I think the right thing is to profile me and check if I'm truly a legal practitioner. And I'm with my ID card, my Nigerian bar association ID card. And I showed them the ID card that I'm a lawyer. So you should have checked me, searched me, and profiled me, then let me in so that I can deal with my clients. But they said, no, I can't go until the police PPRO, Mr. Olumuyiwa, came out and, he told them that I should be allowed.
Okay, so you eventually saw your client, then what happened?
Yes, I saw him. He told me I'd be interrogated, but he told them he won't speak until he sees me. So, and at that point, the IPO brought out the statement form. He began to interrogate him in my presence. So I was there. A statement was taken, and after taking a statement for a couple of hours, he took it to the OC SIB, that's the CSP Amza Tambai. So he took it to him, they looked at it, they brought it back that I should add some things, they questioned him further. I said, no problem, go ahead. So he added to the statement, and then they took it before the CP. He told me it was the CSP, that's the OC SIB, told me he was going to meet the Commissioner of Police to interview him and tell him so that he'll get back to me. Because at that point I said, yes, you have investigated this and you showed me.
Oh dear. Well, still having that. Okay. Are you, Mr. Jinadu, are you still there?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. Quickly conclude your thoughts.
Okay. So at that point, I told the OC that I'm applying for his bail orally, but he said he needs to get it directly from the CP. So he went and came back and said the CP is not disposed to granting me the bail of my client, Eromosele. So at that point, I put a call through to the CP. He didn't pick. Later, he was on a call. Later, I called him. He didn't pick again, and he wasn't on a call. So I had to send him a text that I'm with my client and I need to see him and discuss. So at that point, I knew there is something playing on there. So I had to quickly do a written application for the bail. So then I took it. I want to see him. I want to submit to him and all that. But the policeman at the passage to his office stopped me from going in. He said, I need to go to the OCSIB as if he has been told, because that was his response to me. And he didn't even know me. He didn't know me as a client, as a lawyer. So he just told me that I need to go and see the OCSIB. So I was surprised. I said, where is the PA? He said he's not around. And I knocked at the office of the PA. I saw that it was locked. Okay, even the OCSIB has been going around. I couldn't find him at that point, so I knew that they don't want to release him. So I told the mother that please let's come back tomorrow morning and give him food, because at that we had to get food for him and all that. So
Was
that
there
was
any
where we were,
reason?
and we
Was there any reason given for not granting him bail?
honestly, I wasn't given any reason, because
Okay.
he has not committed a capital offense, and he's just a suspect who you told me probably is he wants to incite people against the government and all that. And I
Okay.
said the fact that he put his phone number on a flyer does not mean that he's trying to incite the public. He's just putting his phone, and and he has not even admitted that he's the one that put the phone. Anybody could have put the phone number there. So
Okay.
you saw his phone number does not mean that he is the one inciting anybody. It's just a phone number that is put on a flyer, on a call for a peaceful protest, not
All right.
for
Yeah.
terrorism.
So
So I
what
was
is the
surprised.
status? What is the status now? Do you know where we hear all kinds of things are going round? Is he still at Area F? Are you still in touch with him? When was the last time you saw him?
Well, I think I quickly need to flash back to the procession from the police command. So the next day on Sunday, when I met him, I asked him, they called me that he's at Panti from Area F, I mean, from the state command. So I said, why Panti? Oh, I drove down to Panti again. So I met him there. That's the state CID at Yaba. So I drove down there, I met him, and he told me that he was moved to Area F cell around 11 p.m. So, and then that he has been destabilized since then. That I said, why do you need to move him from state command set to Area F cell? And state command is just behind Area F there in Ikeja. So why do you need to move him? Is that still part of investigation process? What's the need for that? So at that point, they said they wanted to interview him or interrogate him again in an audiovisual facility at State CID. So I said, well, there's no problem, but this gentleman had made a statement earlier at State Command. So, and there's no problem.
Yeah. Well, while we wait to re-engage with Mr. Jinodu, Harry Obe also joins us in our Abuja studio. He is Director Legal of National Human Rights Commission. Thanks for joining us this morning. Well, this is one of several stories like it. What do you make of all of this?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is a period that calls for vigilance and utmost alertness by citizens and law enforcement personnel alike. For us at the National Human Rights Commission, we are monitoring every bit of the situation to ensure that nobody's right is violated or abused by anybody acting under any authority whatsoever. We are concerned that after protests and the seeming hijack by some elements that looted both public and private properties, the police and other law enforcement agencies will naturally want to fish out the criminals among those people that infiltrated the protest. And in doing that, it calls for a lot of professionalism. It calls for a lot of care in ensuring that no innocent person is unnecessarily abused or violated in the process of fishing out people that actually committed any offense or alleged to have committed any offense. So for us, human rights protection is utmost in whatever we need to do. And the Commission is actually monitoring carefully to see where we need to come in and give the necessary advice and where we need to also step it up.
Well, Mr. Obe, just a quick
and
one. When you say that the NHRC is monitoring, I'm wondering, at what point the NHRC would be needed to step in, because from the accounts given by the family member as well as the legal representative of Mr. Dene, for instance, it is almost obvious, well, it's obvious to a number of people, at least a number of people will believe that his rights are also already being trampled upon because he's not being granted bail. Is there a reason that you can adduce for him not being granted bail?
Well, every offense in Nigeria is bailable. But I'm just hearing this in the studio as I sit about the refusal to grant bail. I don't know the details yet. If
Are
the
you aware
commission
of
is
any?
aware
Just a moment,
of this matter, if you have been aware.
Just a moment. Yeah. Are you aware of any such case where, you know, the police or any security operative is holding one protester or another in all of these that have been happening that, you know, have not been granted bail or something? What has the NHRC done, especially about this whole NSAS protests nationwide, to even mitigate, to show that, okay, we are doing something to ensure that justice is served correctly and no one's human rights are abused?
Well, when I said monitoring, we need to see specific cases to step in. The only case that the Commission has investigated or stepped in directly is the report of alleged invitation and also arrest of some persons in Oshun. The state office actually has been on top of that matter. They're in touch with the families of the persons concerned. In fact, the state coordinator was in court yesterday on the information that some of them were going to be charged or arraigned in court. And he reported back to the commission that that did not take place yesterday. By this morning, he also confirmed to me that the commission is not aware that anybody is being held in detention, but they are in touch with both families of persons that fear that they could be arrested or that have been invited to make statements to be sure that none of their rights is violated. There's no specific complaint that I can say as I sit here that the commission has received and that it's investigating. Apart from the reports we see in the media and also the social media, we have not received, to my knowledge, any specific complaint by anybody that is being held in police detention. We are aware that aftermath of protests like this or things that we just witnessed recently, the possibility of people being profiled negatively is there. And that was what actually gave rise to the advisory that the commission gave when the NSAS protest was on to all the state offices across the Federation. We have 36 states across the Federation, and they were asked to monitor and ensure that nobody is profiled negatively, nobody is arrested, and nobody is held unjustly by law enforcement agencies. I have not received any specific report before coming to the studio of anyone that is being held to the knowledge of the Commission, and intervention has not been made in that regard.
Well, let's now focus on the one we have at hand. I mean, from the accounts you've heard from his sister, his lawyer, that there are questions about the process leading to his arrest. I mean, his sister says she was tricked in court. She was used as bait. I don't know if that's normal procedure, but then his arrest, his detention, refusal to grant bail. Just so we understand what the process should be like according to law, what should have happened? What should have played out? What does the law say in cases like this?
Okay, the law or the expectation according to law is that if there's any allegation that somebody has committed a crime, such a person can be invited by the law enforcement agencies for interrogation, and that such interrogation must be done in a fair and transparent manner. I was actually very happy when I heard the lawyer saying that the suspect insisted that he was not going to give any statement unless his lawyer comes there. In fact, that's the kind of awareness that we need amongst our populace. So the law enforcement agencies must ensure that if there are allegations of offense against anybody, such a person can be invited. Yes, it's within the powers of the law enforcement agencies to invite somebody, but such investigation must be conducted in line with human rights expectations. And so if someone has honored an invitation or after being arrested and statement has been taken, there is no reason to hold such a person in detention if there are sufficient guarantees to ensure that whenever such a person is needed, the person can appear to continue further investigation or stand trial. So the right to bail is a fundamental right of every citizen of Nigeria. But in doing their investigation, there must be sufficient explanation as to why bail cannot be granted. But we encourage that administrative bail and also judicial bail must be considered as a priority and as rights of every citizen that is being investigated in Nigeria.
Well, given these definitions and this understanding that you have given us now, in this case, under what circumstance could Mr. Adene be held by security operatives without bail?
If there is no sufficient guarantee that he could still appear or he will appear before the police to continue the investigation. But such explanation must be given to the person and the reasons why he cannot be granted bail must be given. I have not seen the details of the complaint that we're discussing now, but like I stated before, it is a fundamental right of every citizen to be granted bail, whether under investigation or under trial. And where such bail cannot be granted, there must be sufficient explanation as to why such a person will not be granted bail. It is a fundamental or a constitutional guarantee that where someone has been arrested, such a person must be arraigned before a court of law, and where such arraignment is impossible, he should be granted bail. And so in this case, his lawyer was there. He had applied for bail from his account. We have not seen the details of it. From his account, if the police was not going to grant him bail, they should have offered explanation why he was being held. But until we see the details of what transpired, it will be difficult for me to make any categorical statement as to why he was not granted bail. But
well, let's see if we can
follow up as soon as
well, let's see if we can get
further details.
Right, let's see if we can get more details from his lawyer. Well, Mr. Jinodu, so the law is clear about when a person should be charged to court after detention. So as it stands right now, has it been charged to court? What are you hearing?
Well, thank you very much. He has not been charged to court. Even on Monday morning that I got to the area where he was being detained, I just learned that he had been taken away from the cell on the CP's order. And I asked, I was not contacted because I gave my details, even put my details in this information paper at the state CID. So they didn't contact me before just moving him. I saw the whole process as a kind of, hide and seek game. And I was not contacted. I wasn't called that they moved to Abuja. So until around 12 in the afternoon, I was called from Abuja that he wants to be interrogated in the FCID Abuja. They attend that I need to be there. So at that point, I had to quickly go to the airport and get a flight, but I couldn't get a hairless flight, so I was delayed. So I got here at Abuja around 7 p.m. So, and at that point, I couldn't get access to him again. So, but I met some lawyers who saw him, and they gave me the account of the whole thing that he was in the clinic. He complained of some weaknesses and all that, probably some pains in his body. So he was taken to the clinic, but he had been given food, he has eaten, and they demanded that he should speak with his parents, which they granted their application to speak to his parents. So, there has not been charged, and then I'm surprised. But I just don't want to. But I think I will have to anticipate the police authority at this stage, because and I see from the look of things and the way they have been handling this investigation that they may likely want to keep him there, probably go and get a remand order, or I don't understand. And that is why I'm going to use this medium to appeal for an amendment of the section 293, subsection 2 of the ACJA, that's the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015. So I will be appealing for the amendment of that section that says that an application for a remand order by the police should be made ex parte, shall be made ex parte. But at this point, if the police wants to keep him for another 14 days, which is they are entitled to by that provision, it will be a total degrading treatment for the gentleman who has complained to me at the society that is having some psychological torture and all that is not in a good state of mind to even respond to their questions. And that was why I left the investigation, that I won't be part of it, because you have interrogated him. Now you've taken him from one side to the other. You still want to interrogate him, and you want his account or his statement to be coherent with what he had given initially. So, and I said I won't be part of that. If you want to give him, take his statement, give him the right atmosphere. He's complaining of losing out strength. I had to get vitamin C for him. I had to call, we had to brief for him, and you still want him to account, and you're asking him some, tricky questions that may likely indict him if he's not properly guided. And you tell me to come and observe the investigation, the interrogation process without responding. I don't know, I can't observe. If I'm observing, I have to observe what is the anomalies in your investigation process. So, and that was the stage at which we were at the Lagos State before they brought him to Abuja. So I'm here to see him, to also give details of what actually happened here. But I believe today I will still apply for his bail again after whatever investigation they want to carry out. And then I hope they will grant, or probably they will still go to their normal holding charge that that they will want to do by getting a remand order for another 14 days to keep him there, which I see this gentleman he has never been in the cell. He has not been indicted for any criminal offense before, and then it's just in
just a moment, Mr. Jinadu. Everything is actually quite understood. But let me ask you, Mr. Dene, how was he arrested?
How was he arrested? They came to my house and they picked my brother up from the house.
Was he handcuffed? Was he?
No, he wasn't handcuffed, but the picture of nothing less than 15 policemen, fully armed. I have never seen an AK-47 in my life. I saw it that day in my house, because you come to pick an innocent citizen, just a protester, someone that has the right to talk, fundamental human rights. Nothing less than 15 policemen.
How old is he?
He's 27.
How are your parents taking this?
They're extremely worried. Extremely worried. We've not rested since Saturday. As a matter of fact, we had like 3 days vigil in church. So that was since Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, something else, church program. And we all planned that we were going to rest on Saturday. And this started Saturday. So my parents have been running around since Saturday, Sunday, yesterday, Monday. So they haven't rested. My mom is here with me this morning. She's supposed to be at work, but she's here with me. So they're totally worried. Everybody is worried. We need our brother out as soon as possible.
I understand your parents spoke with him.
Yes, he spoke with my dad yesterday. I don't know, I wasn't there, but he spoke with my dad yesterday. May I mention that he has, as a last year, when he came back from, during his Belefu, Niger, he went to about 6 states just to share arms and all of that. So when he came back, he had some issues with his liver, maybe the change of environment or the situation where the situation of the places he found himself because of his love for this country. He came back with some issues with his liver, hepatitis, something I can't remember which. Yeah, so that is not even good for him. Him being there, him not being in the place he's used to, it's not good for him because we fear that anything can actually happen to him. I'm not saying harassment or anything. I'm talking about his health. So he needs to be released. He needs to be released.
Well, let's get Mr. Obe's thoughts on this, because there are a lot of questions about how this was, conducted, where we are right now. But then another angle is, how do we move forward from here? The whole NSAS protest, they had their 545 demands, the government responded, and then some of them are saying, well, we need more, and which is why they thought let's take to the streets once more. But seeing the way this case is being handled, do you think it might affect, the process, the ongoing process between government and the protesters, the judicial panel of inquiries, for example, and plans that are being put in place to ensure that these demands are met? Do you think this might affect that in any way?
Yeah, definitely we need to actually be careful and sensitive to whatever is happening now. Whenever there's tension in the land, there's need to actually work towards promoting mutual respect and understanding. We need to rebuild the trust of our people in the system. And so the people acting on the supply side, that is the government side, law enforcement agencies and all that, need to be sensitive to that fact that because of the fragile nature of what happened after the NSAS or the fact that it was hijacked, now the people tend not to have so much faith in government actions. So this is the time to actually build that faith back. And so in our reaction, or in carrying out our duties, we must be seen to be doing it professionally and doing it in the interest of the people. Because the reason why we exist in the first place is the protection of the welfare and security of the people. And so in carrying out our functions, which must be geared towards that particular mandate of protecting the welfare and security of the people, we have to be careful that the persons that have been alleged to have infringed the law are also citizens of the country. So we have to handle them with the humanity, the fairness, and actually love that is needed for them to know that even though I'm being investigated, you are doing this in the best interest of the people. So we have to actually be more vigilant now. Those of us that are carrying out the investigations and those of us that have oversight functions on some of those agencies to ensure that everything works together for the protection of the people. The protection that is required for the people is not just for people that are obedient. Even the ones that have offended the law need also some form of protection to ensure that they get fairness in the justice system.
Talking about protection, Mr. Obey,
to law.
Yes, just a moment. Talking about protection, I want to believe that you are aware of that ex parte order that the CBN, received from the Federal High Court in Abuja to freeze the accounts of some identified protesters, about 19 or 20 of them or thereabout. Are you aware of that? Is there anything the NHRC is doing to ensure that that right that has been, that a court order has been received ex parte to infringe upon, is it right? Is it not right? What is the position of the NHRC on that act of the CBN?
Yeah, I read about the ex parte order yesterday and the development around it. It is an evolving development, and the Commission is actually studying it. Yeah, for an order to come from the court is an arm of this country that is meant to actually ensure stability. So if there was an order obtained by government to do a particular thing, we need to study it to be sure that that order was properly obtained, and then see whether it was the proper thing to do. So it will be difficult for me to comment on it on behalf of the Commission. Now, whether that ex parte order was properly obtained and whether it was the right thing to do. But whatever it is, the protection of the people and their rights as enshrined in the Constitution and other instruments that works or that is being operated in Nigeria must be protected at all times. So the Commission will study the development around the ex parte order and make the appropriate interventions that we need to make in the circumstance.
Well, we have about a minute to round up the conversation. So let me see if we could take parting shots. First, from Mr. Jinodu, I know that you probably have a long day ahead, but what are your parting shots regarding this issue?
Well, as it is, I will be going to the FCID after this interview. I would like to see the ACP in charge Loho, SAP on Loho. Yeah, I've been trying to reach him since yesterday, but he has not responded. So I will try to see how we can affect his fundamental rights as enshrined in the Section 35 of the Constitution, because he has the right to his personal liberty, and that right should be guaranteed, as Mr. Obi has rightly pointed out there. So we'll try our
On a
best
minute.
possible and
Right. We're winding down now. If you could just take 10 seconds.
Okay, I'd like to say two things. Yeah. One, I'd like to say the government is not handling this the right way. Arresting protesters, arresting your citizens on the protest ground or picking them up from their houses is not the way to go. They have made demands. We are all citizens, so we have made demands. I feel they should act on the demands. That's number one. And then number two, I'd like to address the issue of Showere's tweets concerning this issue, my free my brother issue, because I got a call from Abuja yesterday, and they feel his tweets shows that they're working together. Everybody knows who Showere is and how he has been themed or how he has been termed in Nigeria. So they feel he is working together with my brother. I would like to categorically say they have never been in talks before. He is tweeting or retweeting what people have tweeted. Right. He is adding extra emotions and all of that. They are not together. Nobody is supporting anybody. My brother doesn't even know Showere.
I think that's a great place to leave it. On a minute, Adene. Thank you so much. As a sister to Eromo. Mr. Babadi Jinadu is a lawyer to Eromo, also joins us via Zoom, as well as Mr. Harry Obey, Director Legal at the NHRC. I would like to thank you so much for your thoughts on the program.